Eric Darling here with Darling Data, and we're going to have a thrilling episode of Office Hours in which I answer 5 questions that you, the user, submit. How do you submit those questions? Well, that is a great question for you to have submitted right now. There's a link that appears here that it also appears down in the video description. And if you click on that link, down the one down there, you can't click on that one. That's not a clickable link on the screen. As devious as YouTube is, I haven't quite figured out if that's a possibility or anything yet. But that's how you ask questions. If you want to sign up for a membership to support this channel, you can do that for as few as $4 a month. There's a link also for that in the video description. If you can, I don't know, it's like 50 something, 60 people do that already. So you would be in great company if you did. If you are just for some reason don't have $4 or you think I suck and you just watch this out of spite, and you want me to have some false sense of hope about the future of this channel, you can do other things to lie to me. You can like, even though it's a hate like. You can comment, hate comment, and you can subscribe, which is the most hateful thing you can do, is to get notified and build your rage every time I put a video up. If you would like to hate me live, you can hire me as a consultant. I do health checks, performance analysis, hands-on performance tuning, queries, indexes, settings, all sorts of other neat stuff. I deal with performance emergencies. If your server is burning down on fire and you can't place an order or whatever, well, I can usually fix this stuff. Then I can also train your developers so that you have fewer or less of those problems. If you would like to get some training, I mean, it's gonna shock you that a consultant has something to sell. Well, I have about 25 hours of performance tuning training. It's all SQL Server, beginner, intermediate, advanced. If you use that coupon code, it brings the price to about 150 USD, and you have that for the rest of your life. That is not a subscription package. It is for you forever. So you're welcome. We have SQL Saturday, New York City, coming up May 10th of 2025. Beautiful Times Square. From what I hear, it's still there, though not in its former glory. It's sort of cleaned up. It's like, I don't know. It's a weird place these days. You're just going to go inside the Microsoft building and hang out for the day. You don't have to worry about the outside stuff. You don't have to worry about the New York centric view of Times Square. But anyway, let's get through these office hours questions. Let's answer some of the burning things that my adoring fans have on their minds. The first question is, and we're gonna do a little spell check on this one for you, my friend. What's the best SQL related book? I know we all know that's related, but that's okay. Of the past 10 years. So that would bring us back to the year 2015 at this point. I'm struggling to beat database reliability engineering by Campbell and Majors. Well, if we're talking about the last 10 years, yeah, I generally think you're right. Unless you are looking for academic books about building databases or like database space problems that haven't been solved, like query optimizer stuff, cap theorem stuff, things like that, right? Like, the bigger database problems that aren't just like you as like a data person, like working with the database, like making sure that database stays up and healthy and fast and all that stuff. Yeah, you're probably not going to do a lot better than that. All of the books that I really liked are older than 10 years at this point. Like the last, I think, good SQL Server book came out in like 2012 or 2013. Really, since then, there hasn't been a lot of like good, like fundamentals internals literature about SQL Server. Like I've said before, all the like Kaylin Delaney books where she had, people from Microsoft co-hosting, talking about the optimizer, internals, all sorts of like isolation levels, locking, all sorts of good stuff in there. Like good books about SQL Server have been like non-existent really. They're just kind of all the same, like rehash of things. Even the books written by Microsoft employees that have come out since then were, let's just call them unproductive in many ways. It's a lot of like Microsoft company line material on things with very little admission of where SQL Server as a product is somewhat lacking. So database reliability engineering is probably the best like working with a database book. If you have other interests with databases, there are probably better books out there that are more academic, theoretical, relational algebra stuff. But yeah, that's a good one. Not oddly enough, but like a lot of the stuff in that book is, I think a lot of the examples, if I'm remembering correctly, were like MySQL related. So it's not even like specifically SQL Server stuff. But anyway. How excited are you to attend the Microsoft Fabric conference this year? Shockingly, I was not invited to the Microsoft Fabric conference this year. Can you believe that? I mean, probably what I'm most excited about is to not attend whatever it's named next year. That's going to be fun. Whatever the next squirrel Microsoft sees is. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but man, Microsoft has just lost a lot of goodwill with their inability to stay focused on a product and see it through. The way that they've switched up everything that's led up to Fabric so far has just been annoying to everyone except like a few groups of people, like Microsoft employees who will get fired if they don't pretend they love it. B, consultants who have to keep re-implementing the same thing over and over again with a different name. And C, like MVPs who are so terrified of getting kicked out of the MVP program that they won't say boo about a crap product. So those are like the weirdest people. Because that's a closely overlapping Venn diagram, or the consultants who deal with this stuff and the MVPs. That's almost a circle right there. But man, you want to talk about an unserious, unfinished product? Why? Fabric is just like it's like, and I'm not ranking Databricks and Snowflake. I'm saying like you have Databricks and Snowflake, and then like let's just say like you have Databricks and Snowflake here, and then you have Fabric like down here, and there's not even anything else in here. That's how bad it is. And I have a bunch of clients who have been forced to use it by C-levels, and because Microsoft either gave them huge price breaks on it or like actually fed them money to start using it, and they are just miserable. So, I don't know how to help there. I don't know what else to say. All right, next one. Everyone I follow on YouTube and Twitter are SQL Server wizards. Well, good. You should follow people who you consider to be smart about a thing that you care about. Please reassure a rookie DBA that not every DBA has that level of knowledge. Well, of course not. If everyone had that level of knowledge, there would be no point in me doing this. I would just be, stating the obvious to everyone. So of course not everyone has that level of knowledge. A lot of my clients have like full DBA teams full of people who maybe don't have as much knowledge as I do. And there are all sorts of wonderful areas of knowledge out there for SQL Server. I know nothing about SQL Server outside of like the query and index tuning stuff. I mean, some stuff, but I guess what I'm talking about is like if you wanted me to like troubleshoot an AG outage, or you wanted me to set up a perfect availability group for you, like that would be way outside the realm of something that I'm comfortable with, because that's not stuff that I do and study and work with every day and care about. Like I have friends who do stuff like that. My friend Sean Gallardi, wonderful with availability, high availability stuff, knows it inside and out. Like I just know nothing about it, and he actually like knows nothing about query optimizer stuff. So it's like, you know, there's all sorts of space for people to know a lot and be ignorant of the rest. So yeah, no, and you know, in a sort of funny way, like I miss a bit being like a rookie with this stuff, because like I don't know, there was just so much to do. Like the world is this wide open place full of mystery and magic, and there are so many things to test and try, and there's so much knowledge to sort of like eventually like soak in. It was great. These days, you know, it's like you build up a callus kind of, and it becomes harder and harder to be impressed or surprised by something. It's like you have to really outdo yourself now to get anything. You know, it's like just it keeps taking more and more to build you up there. You know, so you know, yeah. But first up, appreciate the kind words. I do appreciate you following me places and thinking that I'm wizard-like in some way. But yeah, it is a learning process, and we don't all start off like this. The only person I think who started off knowing everything is Paul White. So there's just that. All right, let's see. Our next question here. What kind of scenarios have you encountered in regards to Dynamics GP systems where there any common problems you resolved as well? Yeah, so Dynamics GP is a Microsoft product, and it's one of those, I mean, I know that they didn't start, I think they bought it or something. It used to be something else, they bought it, no, it's whatever. But yeah, so it's one of those unfortunate things where like, it's another one of those Microsoft products where it's built to use SQL Server, like built to have the SQL Server database backend, but the people who did that work never spent 1 second talking to the people at Microsoft who built the database product. So it's a real bad time. It's real unfortunate. Dynamics GP is like I think for what it does is one of the worst products, the way it works with the database. Unless you have like a pathetically small like sample set for stuff, like you're good. Like as soon as that gets to a meaningful database size, you're in real trouble. As far as problems that I typically solve with Dynamics GP, there's a lot of blocking. There's a lot of selects with up lock hints. You can fix some of the blocking problems with indexes and with an optimistic isolation level, but not all of them, because like the second one of those selects come along with an up lock hint, you're back to having a bad time. So, you know, you like RCSI is a good choice for it. You know, like finding your crappy queries and like seeing if the indexes at all line up with what they're trying to do. And then I think the final thing that you're able to really do, because like all the Dynamics queries come from inside the application. They're not like store procedures or anything that you can like tinker with. So like your last resort for a lot of things is either plan guides or forcing plans in Query Store, because there's not much else you can do. So like even if you have a great index in place and SQL Server is not using it because of cardinality estimation, it doesn't want to do a key lookup or whatever, you don't want to add a super wide, because some of those tables are massive, right? Like width wise, and like you don't want to add just like 40 column includes. Right, that's not a good time. So like sometimes you do have to resort to plan guides or forced query plans in Query Store in order to like get your queries to actually use whatever indexes either you already have or whatever indexes you end up creating based on what your worst Dynamics GP queries are. But I have done a lot of consulting on Dynamics GP systems over the years, and every time I wish I had charged more. All right, so the last question here, somewhat strangely worded, because it almost sounds like they were asking a different question, but I understand it now. It says, "Hi Eric, hi, how are you? I saw on the engine documentation that it can be expanded." It was a little unclear what it was at first, but I think I worked it out. That it is the engine. Is there any physical operator or rule that MS is sleeping on? Well, I think if there was a specific space that I wish the optimizer did more work in, it would be unrolling like joins with or clauses to be like union or union all sets. That would be where I would go with it. I think that also I hear, well, I mean, I guess they already have done work on that. Um, I've heard rumors that Microsoft is working on how they handle subqueries to do that a little bit better because the current implementation is somewhat incomplete. But I haven't actually seen the results of that yet. I do know that in Azure SQL DB, I found a couple new optimizer rules that help you when you're doing like the left join to find rows that don't exist. So like select from table A, left join table B on like the primary key columns where the table B primary key column is null. So in other words, there's rows that are in table A that aren't in table B. They do have a couple of new optimizer rules to change that from that query form to like a not exist query form, either a left or right anti-semi join. So that like those are two new optimizer rules that I have a lot of hope for. I do hope that they make it into SQL Server 2025. They're cool. They're good things, right? They're good optimizer progress. But I think ultimately you can spend a lot of time coming up with stuff like that. Like there are certain like honestly like the join with the or transformation would be a great one. Like that would be fantastic to see. But I think ultimately the query, like you have the query optimizer here and the query execution engine over here, right? And these two things need to get a lot closer together because like you can spend all the time on rules and cardinality and heuristics and stuff over here and still come up with a god awful plan over here. And unless these two things have a really clear line of communication, like all this stuff over here is just like spinning wheels after a certain point because once that query starts running, it just eats it anyway, right? Like the optimizer's like, it's the perfect plan. I've got it. It's right here. Nothing can go wrong. And then all of a sudden it runs and it's like it was wrong in a lot of places. So like the query optimization and query execution need to become much closer friends. I think in order for Microsoft to maintain its query optimizer championship belt and for any major progress to get made. Because like forever and ever, the optimizer was just like, it came up with a plan, and as long as that plan was in the cache, you would reuse that plan, and like there was no communication at all. But like with the intelligent query processing set of features, there's been more and more sort of like feedback and communication and stuff there, and like those are great steps. But I think ultimately what you need is way more way more like runtime flexibility for queries so that like they don't get stuck the way that they do now. Like for a lot, aside from adaptive joins, which are not horrible, but they're not. But like if all you get is adaptive joins, there's a lot of other stuff that you leave on the table that could be like made like they could be more adaptive at runtime that are not. Like one of the things that sticks out to me is memory grants, where like if you just get a way under memory grant, like at runtime you're hosed. And I understand there's a lot of cost and complexity, and there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong if you were to just start like dragging memory in for a query. There are other things that have sort of dynamic memory, like index creation and some stuff with like I think column store inserts, but like query runtime memory, like you can only get that feedback after the query's run. And like if you had a query that ran for like an hour because it was spilling out to disk, like I don't know precisely how valuable that feedback is after an hour, right? Or after however long that query runs for. Like there's stuff that I wish were way more runtime adaptive to prevent like the really bad query hold up stuff, but I don't know. I assume that smart people have looked at this and either disregarded it or decided to choose a different path for things completely. So I don't think that I have anything particularly new or enlightening to provide to them. But there's a lot of stuff that I look at when I'm looking at query plans, when I'm looking at like performance problems, and I'm like, well, You know, it'd be nice if SQL Server had like a little bit like of a fail-safe on this stuff. You know, I think one area where I think the optimizer, actually, sorry, two areas where I think the optimizer could use a lot more work are costing for random I/O and the value of early aggregations before joins, because lookups and loops and stuff, are nested loops, are all still costed like they're on crappy old spinning disk hardware, and a lot of the times you have to manually rewrite queries to use early aggregations because the optimizer just won't, like, even if you have like a ton of duplicates in two tables of the columns you're joining on, like you have to physically rewrite one or both to do like a group by or something before the join. Otherwise, SQL Server just doesn't choose to do that, and you end up doing way more work and dragging way more stuff along. It's aggravating. So that's some areas where I think the optimizer could use some work. Anyway, that brings us to the end of these 5 questions. I will answer 5 other questions in another video. So you have that to look forward to. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next video. Whatever that is, whatever magic mystery tour we go on. All right. Thank you.